Let's one take this? Sure, yeah, why not? Let's one take this. In this video, I want to talk about the Pocket Operator Modular 400 and whether or not it's a good way for beginners to get into the modular world. Now, I'm just going to give you my short answer straight up. For the short answer, yes, I do think it's a good unit to get into the modular world for beginners. Basically, you're getting an all-in-one package with a sequencer and a speaker and everything that you need to get into the modular patching world at a price of $499. So yes, I do think it's worth it for a beginner, and if they want to get into it and start learning, very good solution. But like I said, there are some caveats and some limitations that you need to know about. And I'll go into that in my long answer portion of the video. But before I do that, I want to talk about where I'm coming from and give my perspective of who I am. Basically, I am a hobbyist and a jammer, I guess you can say. I don't produce songs for albums or anything. So hobbyist to say the least. I do have some piano background. I like to sing. I don't think I do it that well. And basically, I have zero experience in the modular world. So, that being said, here are my long answers for why I think it's good for beginners. So, the first, pro for a beginner for this particular system is that the price is very good. Basically, for $499, you get 3 oscillators. I'm just looking at here, 3 oscillators. You get the mixer unit, LFO filter, 2 envelopes, 2 VCAs, a sequencer and a speaker, noise generator, and a randomizer. So for $499, that's pretty hard to beat. When I, a few years ago, was fantasizing about, getting into the modular world, like a lot of people who are into, electronic music producing do occasionally, basically, I was thinking, what's the cheapest option I can get? And so for $175, you can buy a case, the Tip Top Audio Happy Endings kit, which is just like 2 rails and a power bar or a PSU, and that's already $175. And for oscillator choices, there are some for around $100. So you're already almost $300 in, and that only leaves you a couple $100 to get the rest of the functionality of this whole system. So with what I just talked about, the Tip Top Audio solution with an oscillator, you just get this guy right here and then a case with power. That doesn't leave that much money for more oscillators, your sequencer, filters, etc. So from a price perspective, I think it's pretty hard to beat. I mean, yes, there are other ways to go about it like DIY, and there's other ways to go about it with the used market on Reverb. But for that much money, for $499, pretty tough to beat. And I think, modular is great when you have everything available to you and you can just start patching right away. And this for $499 really does it for you. Another pro is that for beginners, it's a very approachable way to modular synthesizers because it gives you everything that you need. So, there's no missing, it gives you the basics. There's no huge holes that are missing here. And I think that's what Teenage Engineering was going for, is that, give them the basics that they need at the cheapest price possible and only making compromises with everything but the sound. The sound is, okay, I think the sound is very subjective, obviously, but it didn't blow me away, so I'll be honest, so that's kind of like a con. But yeah, it's very approachable. I found myself picking up pretty quickly where I can just yank all the patch cables out and create a patch from scratch, and it was a lot of fun. Another pro is that down the line, for beginners, if you outgrow this, you can still use this as kind of like your home base modular system, and then build a skiff, with other purposes and still connect it to it. So I think that's cool. They kept, the voltages the same where you can use other eurorack modules, and hats off to Teenage Engineering for doing that. And we'll see what even else they come out with. But, I think that's kind of a pro, is that you can grow with the unit, and then also, you can really just, once like I said, once you outgrow it, you can buy other things and it'll still work. So those are the pros. And I guess one more pro is that well, look at what I'm doing here. It's portable. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. It could be like Annie or, modular on the roof. If that's your thing, more power to you. It's also powered by batteries. And that's actually kind of getting to the cons portion of why this is not good for beginners, is that even though they marketed it as a beginner's product, because it's a first iteration and you know it's a brand new product, there has been a lot of issues with this unit. And if you're giving a beginner something like this to assemble at home, and there's issues with it out of the box, you're going to give a lot of beginners a lot of stress and thinking they maybe did something wrong or patched something incorrectly or broke something where it might not exactly be their fault, but there's no feedback, or since there's not a lot of documentation saying, oh no, watch out for this or don't do that. So I think that's one of the biggest cons, is that it's a new product and there's been a really rough release for Teenage Engineering. To kind of get into it, the PSU, this guy right here, let me show you. This guy right here has been causing everyone trouble. And essentially what happens is that if you orient it in the wrong way inside the chassis, you could end up shorting your PSU. And the problem with this, and this is a huge miss on Teenage Engineering, it's not forgivable by any means, is that within the manual, within this guy right here, it doesn't tell you how to orient the PSU properly. So I've read a lot of comments, posts on Reddit or whatever on Facebook, that people saw smoke when they turned on their machine, and there's nothing in the manual indicating if it was human error or if it was error on the design by TE. And as a beginner, that is extremely nerve-wracking. Modular, the modular world is pretty proven, it's pretty safe. Unless you plug something in wrong, which is hard to do, most likely it's going to be a product that is, reliable and, doesn't cause this kind of stress. So that's a pretty big miss. So that's one of the cons. Another con is that if you want to make an actual song with this, it's hard to get anything out of this outside of just bleeps and bloops and a simple sequence that is really hard to program actually. So, if you have this as a standalone unit and no other gear, I don't think it's really good for beginners that are looking to create actual songs, because it doesn't provide enough in the sequencer to make end-to-end jams. So what I'm saying is, like, songs with A, B section and a C section and can go back to A and B easily, you're not going to be able to do that with this unit. So sorry to disappoint you. If you don't have a way to externally sequence it with an arterial key step or an OPZ, if you're looking for song creation, this is not the guy for you. So that's another con. I guess one more con that I can mention is that maybe I did mention pros as expandability, but another con is that we don't know the product map yet for Teenage Engineering. Like, if they come out with more modules, what am I going to do as a user, as a beginner, with all these holes or all these slots for modules is already filled up? Do I have to buy another thing? Do I have to buy, are they going to come out with another case? Like, what if they come out with a delay, or what if they come out with a reverb or something? Like, where am I going to put this? So we don't know the product map of Teenage Engineering. They had to go back and backpedal on the 160 and the 16. Oh no, the 170 and the 17, which is their monosynth and programmable keyboard. So who knows outside of that what else they have planned? Maybe this is all they do for modular and they don't come out with new stuff. So it's hard to say. So I guess that's another con from a beginner standpoint. All right, so lastly, I want to talk about recommendations. So who I recommend this for? I recommend this for beginners who are who want to learn about modular synthesis, who don't mind just having a machine that makes bleeps and boops if they don't have any other gear to sequence it. This is the machine for you if you just want to learn about modular synthesis and do some patching and get your feet wet in this new exciting world. Also, I recommend it to you if you want to make songs, if you have another way to sequence it. So with an OPZ or an arterial key step, maybe a Korg SV1, I don't know. or maybe other gear that can sequence with CV out and gate out. Um, who do I not recommend this for? Like I said, it's kind of just the opposite of what I just said. People who want to make songs but have no other gear. So if this is your only piece of gear and you want to make songs, it's going to be tough. So I don't recommend that for you. And then also, if you're not patient to assemble and be very careful to do some DIY stuff. Like assembling this was not easy. I have a video about that, how I assembled it and that whole process. But I don't recommend that for you as well. Um, okay, so yeah, that's one take. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found it useful. Yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But pretty much, I do think this is good for beginners. It's been a blast for me. I am a beginner, so I offer that insight. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one.